All right, everybody. I'm excited for today's guest on the Alchemy Podcast, longtime friend and mentor and legend, just in general. I don't know why I call you Dr. Dan Reed, but I always call you Dr. Dan.
I like it.
Yeah. Dan Reed, welcome, brother.
Thank you. I received an honorary doctorate degree from Doug Cartwright, so I'll take it.
Those are very rare to come by.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to chat because there's so many different topics we can go. And as I was thinking about you and this conversation and kind of assessing some of the accomplishments and your life impact and kind of just reviewing all the kind of the unique things you've done, one thing that kept coming back to me again and again and again is that like Dan Reed is a winner, right? You went and did the door-to-door thing and you won. And then you went and left and did entrepreneurship and you figured that out. And then you went and did like e-commerce supplementation company and then you won that. And you're also in great shape physically, and health and wellness is important to you. And you also have a very inspiring relationship with your wife, and you have a very young and healthy, loving family. And I'm like, Dan just wins.
Well, man, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying all that.
Yeah. And it's just really inspiring. And so I want to go back to kind of the origins because we met through Vivint. And one thing that is inspiring with you is you're like an OG solar. Like you were like in solar before people even knew what solar was.
Yeah.
Right. So talk to us a little bit about that trend story from like being at Vivint and then really, I mean, what was 2012?
11.
You were doing door-to-door solar in 2011. You've got to be probably the first door-to-door solar rep, like maybe ever.
Yeah, I think first few for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you. And I appreciate you saying that. Say I'm a winner at everything. I love hearing that. And I appreciate that. It's when you're in the middle of it all the time, like, and people will understand this, like life's a battle and you can compartmentalize little parts of your life and say, hey, I won that. And, you know, I set out to do this thing and I did it. And a lot of the times the losses don't get published, but it's a battle. We'll talk more about that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But there's been a ton of wins. And I think it's important to do that. I think it's really important to take those moments and put them in a box and say, hey, I said I was going to do this thing and I did it. And that's a win. And I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. And I would say not only did you do a lot of these things, but you did them at the highest level.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Like elite.
Yeah. Well, there's still a lot more to do. So.
Yeah. We're just getting started. Hey, I was recording with Chelsea Baugh this morning and we went over the quote from Dr. Carl Jung, who's this famous psychologist. He says, life begins at 40. Everything before that is just an experiment. And so, Dan, your life is just beginning.
That's the truth.
My life hasn't even started yet.
I know. You're just in school.
Yeah, I'm still experimenting.
We were just talking about that before we got on air too, that, you know, like you're 36.
Yeah.
And it's just, dude, we're going to live till we're 120. And so,
yeah,
life's just getting started.
We're just getting started.
I agree. Yeah, I'll be 41 in 2 weeks. And I have a ton of energy and I have a ton of ambition. And I feel like that's so true. I love that quote.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to answer your question and kind of go back to that. So, yeah, you were asking kind of getting into solar early.
Yeah, you're like when I think of like your trajectory, I mean, you're doing solar before people even knew. You figured out what solar was.
Yeah, I think when you and I met, well, we probably crossed paths a few times, but I got into door-to-door. I was graduating college with an accounting degree in 2009 and met a good friend of both of ours, Casey, and had the Casey discussion of, hey, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to go work at one of the big 5 accounting firms and make 40 grand a year and live stress-free for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you're a salesperson. And I was like, all right, tell me more. And we talked a little bit and it took, you know, a 1-hour conversation with Casey. And I was like, hey, this guy knows. So I went out and sold, graduated, drove straight to Texas, started selling door to door. One of the best experiences of my life. Door to door just exposes you.
Can't hide from the doors, man.
You can't.
You cannot hide.
And I think everybody, like, you can put whatever negative connotation around sales bros or whatever you want, but everybody should go do direct sales one way or another. It's just so enlightening because, again, you just can't hide. You get to write your own check every day. You got to motivate yourself to get out of that car. You got to keep going. You push through objections. It's so many incredible life lessons. So those first 3 months of door-to-door sales, I feel like was, a master's degree. It was
School of Hard Knocks, man,
it was.
101.
And I wanted it, like I realized really, really quickly. I did an accounting internship actually before I graduated and realized probably a little bit deceitful to myself. Was like, hey, I actually like this. But deep inside, I was like, this is horrible. I do not want to do tax returns. I do not want to audit anything. Like, it is not who I am.
Yeah.
But I had to go. I went and learned that skill in college. I felt like it was the right thing to do. Anyway, went and did that. Did that for 3 years, ran some teams, had an incredible experience. We could talk about that for hours.
You're selling alarms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Started with
Apex.
Yep.
Yeah.
Incredible people along the way that I still have intimate, close relationships with, guys that I absolutely love. In 2011, we're now 3 kids deep, and going out for the summer.
And you and Laura have been together for...
We're about to hit 20 years of marriage.
That's crazy. Were you guys high school sweethearts?
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can share that with you, that story. So we met in 2003. I was a senior in high school. She was actually a sophomore in college. I was actually lead singer in a punk rock band, believe it or not.
You were the lead singer of a punk rock band?
Yeah, that was like my high school life. That was my identity in high school.
Wow, I didn't know that. I don't know that version of Dan.
Have we never talked about this?
I never knew this.
Yeah, so had a band called Nothing for Now, and we were a 4-piece kind of pop punk band.
Little emo?
A little bit of emo, a little bit of screamo.
Little screamo.
Super fun. Somebody's going to ask to hear that music. I need to probably go put it up on iTunes or just come to my house and I'll give you a CD. We've got CDs.
The CD.
So you'll have to go.
Gen Z doesn't know what a CD is.
Yeah. You'll have to go find somebody who has a CD player in their car.
Yeah.
And try that out. Anyway. Yeah. Was lead singer in a punk rock band. We went and played at the university where she was going to college. And she didn't know who I was from Adam. Right. And we ended up meeting up at a party and kind of started flirting. And I wasn't like being serious about anything in life at this point. I was just having fun. So she asked, who I was, how old I was, etc. She was 20. I told her I was 24 because I pretty much looked like this when I was 18. I had facial hair. I was like,
that stash.
Yeah. I had less wrinkles, but I kind of, I've kind of looked like this since like 8th grade. I don't know what just happened. Anyway, told her I was 24. She bought it. And then I kind of forgot that I said that. We ran into each other a couple more times. Yeah, that's how it started. So when you say were you high school sweethearts, kind of, because I was in high school.
You were in high school, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't know. But we ended up falling in love. She obviously found out that I was 18. It was too late. We both served missions for the church. I went to California. She went to Nebraska.
You guys were probably serving around the same time, right?
We served at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I bounced. She went 6 months later. This is when boys went at 19, girls at 21.
Yep.
And we got home a day apart from each other.
Come on.
Yeah. It was like crazy timing. October 12th, October 13th, 2005. And we got married 6 months later.
That quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's been a dream, dude. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
That's probably the out of all the wins, that's the biggest win for sure is the relationship I have with her and with our kids.
Well, it's so beautiful. And
family.
you can tell you guys are just a unit. Like you guys are on the same team, right? You guys honor, respect each other. You guys, I mean, it's really inspiring.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is. It's really special. I feel really, really grateful. It's work. I also feel like there's a certain element of luck, like just so grateful that that's who I ran into, that it happened, and that we are where we are. So anyway, you want to go back to
the long and windy road, bro. He's going to go all over the place. We'll get you back on track. But anyway, so 3 months into selling Apex, right?
3 years in.
You're 3 years in.
Yep. Third summer, we're in Savannah, Georgia. We're 3 kids deep. She goes home halfway through the summer. You've kind of been there. Like summers are hard.
So hard.
They get really hard when you have a family, especially a young family. Like my family right now, kids are growing up a little bit. It's a little easier. Young kids, it is so hard.
Yeah.
So I got to this point where I was trying to decide, hey, what do I do for the rest of my life? At this point, I have my master's degree. I'm like, I don't know if I'm just going to keep going and doing summers. And end up having a conversation with Casey and with Todd and Alex in August of 2011. And they're like, hey, we're going to try this solar thing. They're like, we're a little ways down the road. We have an operation set up in New Jersey and you should give it a shot. And I was like, okay, what's solar? Like, how does this work? They're like, well, we're doing this thing where you put panels on people's homes and we'll pay for it and we have this relationship with banks, and then people will just buy the power from us. And it clicked, and I was like, this is genius.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got home from the summer and was home for about a week, went down and met with Todd, met with Alex, and said, hey, I'm all in, let's go. Flew out to New Jersey and stayed there for another month and figured out how to sell solar door to door. And it was like, it was so funny. So I was out there with Jeremy Long. He came out.
OG.
Yeah. My brother-in-law, Zach Latimer, who's actually still has a solar company in Hawaii now. And then my current business partner, Kate Hansen.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how these relationships have developed over time. But went out there, we're knocking doors, and it's brand new for everybody. It was brand new for us as salespeople. It was brand new for homeowners.
Yeah. So there's no foundation of the pitch. Like you don't even know how to pitch it. You don't.
No.
There's no script.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it was meeting with Todd and Alex, talking to, these guys, saying, hey, here's how it works. It was this complicated structure called tax equity.
Yeah.
Which now a lot of people understand. At that point, it was so brand new.
Yeah.
And it was, you do this merger with a bank, you create this partnership, you take the money, we take the depreciation and the tax credits, and then put the solar panels on someone's house, and they buy the power. I'm like, I don't really get it, but let's go give it a shot. So I'm knocking doors in Rutherford, New Jersey, and people are saying, open the door. Hey, I'm Dan with Vivint Solar, and we're doing solar systems. And they're looking at me and they're like the planets? I'm like, yeah, you're like, because now you say solar system and people are like, all right, that's solar, it goes on your roof. At that point, it's like Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter,
Saturn?
Yeah, exactly. And so that was the kind of response. I'm like, no. And you're trying to explain it. Ended up selling a few, got some installed, and was like, hey, this thing's going to work. And during that month, we started to figure out how to pitch it.
Yeah.
And it really was brand new. So I had a conversation with, the owners at that point and said, hey, what's the plan? And they said, well, New Jersey's all yours. Why don't you move your family out there? You guys are doing great. Have it. And I'm like, what other markets?
Yeah. Hold on real quick.
Like, this is cool, but
yeah,
where else? And they're like, well, we're going to open California and Oʻahu. I was like, sign me up for Oʻahu.
Yep.
And kind of had this warm fuzzy at that point that was like, hey, just go. Like there was a ton of questions.
Yeah. So I want to highlight that again because this is really important. Because one thing I really like to emphasize when you say warm fuzzy, right? Like to me, that makes sense to me. Of like, this is guidance, intuition, right? Go a little bit deeper because like, how do you distinguish something where it's like, oh, this is a thought that sounds good to Dan versus like, oh, this is beyond me. This is coming from above.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I'm skipping some steps there because the steps are, hey, there's a bunch of decisions to make.
Yeah.
You got to think through it. And I think sometimes we want there to just be inspiration immediately. That's never how it's worked for me. Inspiration for me always happens when I weigh things out, ponder it, right? And do my best to make a decision. And then I don't feel anything until I say, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And once I do that and start taking steps, then I either receive a really yucky feeling that says, hey, bad idea.
So to describe that a little bit more, is that like, it's more of an inner resistance?
Yeah, it's just something like a lack of peace.
Lack of peace.
Is how I would describe it, right?
Yeah.
Like even when I was going to propose to my wife, I remember going through this thing where I was like, dude, I just want to feel this like confirmation that says, this is the right thing to do. And like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Was in love. Everything made sense. But I was like waiting for this,
reveal it to me, right?
Yeah,
Give me the answer.
Just this, I'm in tears. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the right thing. I'm going to go do it. And I never felt that until I went and bought a ring. And then I remember coming home and telling my mom, hey, I'm going to ask Laura to marry me. And the moment I said that, I was just like overwhelmed with like, that's the right thing to do. But I had to go take those steps.
It reminds me of that concept, like universe responds to effort.
Totally.
Life responds to effort. You have to go put in the work and weigh it out and the pros and cons and yes and the no list. And once you do that, now you kind of attune yourself to the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. It's practicing faith, right? It is, faith is action. And so, there's a lot of vernacular people can use for this, but that's a way that, I grew up describing it in my religion and you too, where it's, you put faith in something, well, then you have to take action and do something. And after you take action, you receive a confirmation of your faith, right? That's how it's always worked for me.
So good. Yeah.
And
thanks for breaking that down.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters who you are or what you believe. That's just a universal principle that exists. That's just truth and light and good. And if you follow those steps, like it works, you know? Yep. So that was kind of what happened is there was some decisions to make. And again, just to touch on that, I've had those where I've made a decision and say, hey, logically, this is the thing that makes sense. And I'm going to do this. And then immediately there's like a lack of peace. I'm like, hold on, I'm going to go back and reevaluate. This time it was, hey, it's New Jersey, it's California, it's just stay in Utah, or it's Hawaii. And I came home, I talked with my wife. I was like, hey, we should just send it. Like, let's go. And she's like, okay.
She was down.
Totally.
Yeah.
And again, 3 little kids. We had a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and 9-month-old.
And those are hard ages.
Oh, dude.
You're full hands on.
My wife's in like full blown postpartum, just feeling down. It was tough. And when I said that, she was like, let's go. And where are we going to live? I don't know. Like, hey, is there a warehouse? Are there trucks? Is there a process? No. And then I felt this urgency that was like, this is like the Wild West where you go land in Montana or Wyoming and you stick your flag in the ground and you're like, this is my spot, you know?
Yep. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. But if you don't do that first, somebody else will stick their flag in the ground. So we literally, within a very short period of time, we bought plane tickets. We packed. It's actually a crazy memory to revisit. We packed 22 suitcases.
Holy cow.
Because we were like, hey, we're going and we're not coming back.
Yeah.
And we sold our cars. We sold our house. And
all in.
Totally. And I remember my father-in-law, he was like, hey, so what's the plan? And I'm like, we're just going. And he's like, where are you going to stay? I'm like, we're going to stay at Turtle Bay. Because that's the only place I'd ever been. Right. I'm like, I know it. And it'll be comfortable for the family for a minute while we find a place to rent. So that's literally what we did. We flew out there. We had 22 suitcases. We had pots and pans. We were just like, I think this is what we need. Sold everything else or put it in a storage unit. Sold the house.
You sold your house?
Oh, yeah.
You were like, you burned the ships.
We were in. We were like, if we're finding something to work out there, no matter what. It just felt so good. And like, I think maybe you've been there in your life where you felt that.
Yeah.
But there was zero fear at all. Mm-hmm. It was just, hey, this is the right thing. You've received that confirmation. You feel that inspiration. You just go.
Yep.
It was never like
one foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah. No. You just go. We felt so good about it. There was so much peace.
And there's something to be said that too, because it's like I look back at my life too, and it's the decisions that I made that were the most impactful. It was an all in, burn the ships, no plan B. Yeah. And you hear that all the time, like in sales, you got to burn your ships, you got to burn your ships. But like, you guys sold the house, you sold the cars, and you were just out. And I think there's something about when you do that, that the universe or God will like acknowledge it and reward you for it.
100% agree. Yeah, there really is something magical because you can kind of be a little dishonest with yourself and be like, yeah, I burned my ships, I'm in. And in the back of your mind, you're like, I got plan B, C, and D.
I got my pinky in over here.
Yeah. And then it's hard for God and the universe to like back you up on that. But when you're like,
I'm all in,
we're going, you know, I mean, we could talk about a ton of details, but I mean, I remember literally driving around this island that we'd been there on vacation one time a year before that, my wife and I. We didn't know it very well. So we're driving all over the place, trying to figure out where we're going to live, where we're going to knock doors.
Yeah.
And changing diapers on the side of the road in this minivan. Like it was crazy. Man, it was so awesome. We got the whole family there in February. It was Valentine's Day of 2012 and went to Kinko's, printed off a PPA solar contract on 8.5 by 11 because that's all we had. Went door to door in Kailua and started selling and figuring it out. Kate Hansen, my current business partner, was my first sales rep to come out with me. And we're out knocking doors. And a couple other guys showed up. We're out knocking doors. We had sales. We had no warehouse. We had no trucks. We had nothing. So we actually went and rented a box truck. And then we bought solar panels and mounting equipment from a competitor on the island who had extra stuff to do our first install. Did our first install in Eva Beach. And I literally remember the customer's name. And from that moment, I was like, hey, this is real. This is happening. That was in March. We actually put panels on a roof. By December, we had done 1,200 rooftops.
1,200. 600
Yeah.
between March and December.
Yep. And so it caught fire. It was fun. It was like the
And you were
early
selling PPA, right?
selling a PPA.
Yep.
People were paying 40 cents for power. We were selling a 25-cent PPA.
So just a no-brainer.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there ever any doubt that it was going to work, or were you guys like pretty quick out the gate, like, oh, we're going to tear this place up?
I mean, there was doubt. Like, and I think this is the thing with when we talked about fear just a little bit. You burn your ships, you feel the confirmation, you go. That doesn't mean there's no fear and there's no doubt. You have an opportunity to decide how you're going to react to your fear and to your doubt, right? Because that's like a defense mechanism that's built into us. I think when people say, hey, I never feel fear, I don't know if that's true.
Right.
Maybe there's somebody out there. But I feel fear and I feel doubt sometimes, but you just decide how to react to it. So yeah, in the beginning, we're walking around with an 8.5 by 11 white piece of paper with a contract on it, knocking on doors. Like, for sure, I was like, hey, this might not work.
Yeah.
But it didn't mean I was scared that something bad was going to happen. It just meant we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? But after there was a little bit of momentum,
there's no stopping the train.
It was gone.
Yeah.
And then it was just an influx of amazing salespeople. We built a family out there.
Yeah.
And
how long were you guys there for?
we were there for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And because that market got pumping, right? It's obviously that market isn't what it used to be, right? But you guys really it really was the gold rush. You guys were kind of the first people on the island, right? Yeah. Opportunities here. We're going to go take it.
It was pumping. It was so fun. And it was all the things you could imagine. Little local solar companies that were just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
We just got disrupted.
Yeah.
We don't know how to knock doors. And now there's 50 white kids running around this island knocking doors. You know, there was like, we weren't passing inspections electrically, and we realized, hey, you have to hire a Hawaiian electrician to pass inspection.
Yeah.
So we started doing that. Like it was all the things you could imagine, you know.
I mean, talk about getting an MBA.
Yeah.
Right? Like you do it on feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I want to talk, it's so inspiring, you know, and you guys, I can't imagine how many accounts did you do in 3 years there? You have any idea?
Thousands.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably 5,000-6,000 accounts.
Yeah. Just tattooed it.
Yeah.
And one thing that I do want to ask you, because I coach a lot of people in the door-to-door space, and a common question that I get a lot is like, how do you know when it's your time to leave? Right? How do you transition out of the industry? And you're someone who transitioned out of the door-to-door space and was very successful out of the door-to-door space too. And so talk to us about what that looks like leaving the industry. It's something that's so profitable, that works well, you know you're good at it, it's making money, right? It's like, you know, they call it the golden handcuffs. And, you know, you're one of the few people I know that transitioned and, you know, has been incredibly successful outside of the space too.
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
Honestly, because there's literally still days today that I'm like, I would love to be knocking doors.
Yeah.
Like somebody right now who's listening to this or watching this is saying, hey, I knock doors and it's a drag and you're just making that up. But I'm not. Like there's something it is hard. But there's something so magical and so rewarding about it, and something so simple about it.
Yep.
You're managing a person. You know what I mean? You're writing your own check. Like, you know you can have success. I know right now, and you know right now, both of us have the ability. Give me a product, put me in a market, I can go sell it.
Yep.
And that's like such a comforting thing, right?
Yeah. The thing that's comforting for me, I was thinking about this on the drive here too, is like one thing that we underestimate as entrepreneurs, as door-to-door sales reps, is that we have no lack of leads. When you're like a door-to-door sales rep, it's like, oh yeah, I can pull over right here and just go knock this neighborhood and make money right away.
Yeah.
Sometimes in entrepreneurship, it's like, where do I find the leads? How do I find clients? How do I find customers? Whereas like in door-to-door, it's like any day of the year, anywhere, you can just pull over and you have the ability to go make $1,000 in an hour.
Yeah. Is there 100 doors? That's 100 leads.
Yeah.
Like, go get it.
Yep. Yeah.
No, you're totally right. As far as like your question with when do you know it's the right time? I don't know. I think for me, I got to a place where I knew that I wanted to grow professionally in a different direction. The money was good. I think my life would be fantastic if I would have just stuck with it too. Yeah. So I don't think that there's one single path that I could have taken, because it's, the principles are the same. Like, am I providing for my family? Am I spending enough time with them? Am I teaching my kids the right thing? Like, work and job and stuff like that is super fun to talk about, but it's kind of, for me, it's like, it's fulfilling and it's good, but it really comes back to, hey, does it enable me to do the stuff that really matters 2 lifetimes from now?
Yeah.
You know, but I got to a place where I knew, hey, I can go advance myself in the company and take a new position and probably have a little bit better lifestyle, be home for dinner, some of those things, right? Got to a place where my kids were a little bit older, that type of thing. And that's when I felt, the urge for me, like, to transition out.
Yeah. And you talked, earlier in the conversation, you talked about like you do this process where it's like kind of weigh your pros and your cons and you kind of plan it out and you organize it, right? Because, you did a successful transition and started your supplement. Was that what you did? You went straight to the Zeal, right?
Almost.
Yeah. There was a step in between.
There was. So I went from Hawaii to California, and I was the regional VP of sales for Vivint Solar.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I've had to tell this story differently as I've grown. But the story now is I wasn't ready for that position. Mm. And I thought I was, but I had 50 direct reports that were managers. And I've learned so much now, right? It's been 15 years, and I needed help. I needed more layers of management and things like that. I was overwhelmed. So in 2014, company went public. I spent 250 nights that year in hotels. That's not like a great situation for my family.
Yeah.
And so realized pretty quickly, like, hey, that's when you're like, getting back on the doors would be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was making a ton of money, but I was like, 250 nights in hotels. It's a lot. Traveling a ton. Yeah. Visiting teams, doing that. And I loved it was so rewarding to provide leadership and show up and teach and talk and help. So we transitioned from there, came back to Utah, took a different role at corporate. There were some fulfilling parts about it, some stuff that wasn't. And I think what happens when you go from door to door into the corporate world, there's some things that are tough because you go from, hey, I get to make my own schedule. I get to write my own checks. If I want to take a day off, I take a day off. Yeah. If I want to work 15 hours, I work 15 hours, to a world where people show up at 9 and go home at 5. And if someone doesn't see you in your office, they might tattletale on you. Yeah. It's like weird. And so that was actually like one of the harder professional times of my life. And that's actually what inspired me to start Zeal, was because, frankly, I just was not happy with it. Like, I don't think I was built to...
that structure just didn't seem like it worked for you.
No, I wasn't built to show up and be in the corner office with glass and be there all day in that situation at that time of my life. That's not what I was built for,
Yeah. And so obviously life kind of puts you in the situation where it's not what you expected or what you want. You don't have the autonomy of your schedule or whatnot. And so walk us through the process of starting Zeal. Was it, I'm really passionate about supplements and I want to start a supplement company, or was it more of like, oh, what's an industry I think I could go tackle? Where is there industry opportunity and can I match with that opportunity? What was kind of your process of starting Zeal?
What happened was I was working in this corporate role, and one of my old sales reps came in to say hi, and came into my office, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing now? And he's like, hey, you wouldn't believe it, but I am selling soap. I'm like,
soap, yeah. Like body soap.
Yeah. African black soap is what it was called.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is African black soap? And he showed me his listing on Amazon. And he's like, this is what it is. I'm like, I've never heard of that in my life. He's like, I'm making $400 a day selling soap on Amazon. And I'm like, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And then immediately I'm like, all right, if you can make $400 a day, I can make $4,000 a day.
Yeah.
Like, I have to do this. And
just lit you up.
Yeah. I felt that same thing, just that like instantly I'm like, this is a great idea.
Yeah. So was it like this like activation, kind of that warm fuzzy thing of like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, some things hit you with clarity. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll talk to some people about their job or what they do. And sometimes somebody will describe to me what they're doing. And after 5 minutes, I'm like, I have no idea what you just said. Like, that didn't click at all.
Yeah.
But this one, it just immediately clicked. I was
made
like,
sense.
I'm like, oh, it's your e-commerce. You have a product, you're selling it on it. Like, it made sense. So I asked him, I said, hey, where did you figure out how to do this? And he's like, I took a class online. I'm like, give me the link to the class. He's like, it's $5,000. I'm like, sweet. Sends me the link. I immediately buy the course. And this became my new energy because I felt depleted a little bit. I was doing fine. I was showing up to my job. I was being productive.
Going through the motions a little bit.
Yeah, but this was something where I'm like, hey, I have something to be excited about, something to
Energizing.
sink my teeth into. It's why people do side hustles, right? Because it's like my job is my job, but my side hustle gets me excited. So it kind of became my side hustle. And what I did is when I would travel out to visit people in the company, when I'd get back to my hotel at 8 p.m. or whatever, I would take the Amazon course. And so I started taking this course. And over the course of, 5 or 6 months, I completed this
So I mean, it
Amazon
was a course.
education.
Like 6 months to complete a course. That's like
Yeah,
that's a lengthy.
it was, I don't know how many hundreds of hours of stuff it was, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I felt like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I want to know everything.
Right.
But while you're doing the course, you're doing some product research and stuff. And so to answer your question, I think there's a couple ways that people start product businesses. One of them is, hey, I have a really good idea for a really cool product. How do I go tell a story and market this and get people to buy my product? Another way is, hey, there's a lot of good products out there. I'm good at sales and marketing. How do I stick my product in the middle of that mix that somebody else is already paying for marketing and go get sales, right?
Yep.
So we took the latter route. That's kind of what I decided during that Amazon course was, hey, I am product agnostic. I don't care if I'm selling putting greens or iPhone chargers or scarves. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to make a little bit of money on the side.
Yeah.
And my goal was, hey,
Entrepreneurial mindset.
my goal is like, hey, my mortgage is $5,000. I'm going to make $5,000 on Amazon a month and cover my mortgage. That'd be kind of fun. And so that was my big, hairy, audacious goal was $5,000 a month. I wish my vision would have been bigger, which you can go back and say that about everything. It should have been bigger with solar. It should have been bigger with everything. Things went great. But that's how it started. So what happened is we did a ton of research and ended up launching a supplement. And this is 2017 now. The supplement I landed on was apple cider vinegar capsules.
Yep.
There was this was the beginning of keto. This was a time when an Instagram influencer actually had a bunch of influence in the e-commerce world. So we got a couple keto influencers to post some stuff, and we were able to launch this product. Sorry, I keep saying we. What happened is about halfway through this journey into Amazon, I reached out to Cade and said, hey, somebody's got to run operations in this thing. I don't know if you're good at operations, but I love you and I trust you. And I think we can figure this out together. He was doing another startup and he was like, I'm in. I'm like, sweet. I'm like, here's how much I've invested. If you match it, I'll go 50-50 with you and let's go build this company. We've been business partners since then.
Come on.
It's been really cool.
Yeah. So special.
Really special relationship. Again, another one of those things that takes work, but I'm so grateful for like that blessing and that little bit of luck. And yeah, to this day, like we're thriving as a business partnership. Anyway, so we landed on apple cider vinegar pills, launched it, and we sold, we launched it in May of 2018. We sold over $1 million by Christmas. It just worked.
Yeah.
And so here I am like going to my desk job and then I'm hopping on Amazon and I'm like, dude, I can't believe what's happening.
You have 7 figures in sales in his office.
I'm like, hey, we sold 120 bottles today. Like, what is happening? Yeah. So quit my job at that point and just went all in on e-com. We ended up launching about 40 different products, kept the same strategy, and learned a ton in that space, which was so fun.
Yeah. What were some of the hardest shifts from like, because, managing door-to-door sales guys and selling is one skill set. Running like a legit distribution company product on Amazon is a different skill set. Is there anywhere in that transition where maybe you were a little overly confident in something or naive that was maybe a hard lesson that you had to learn making that switch?
Yes.
Yes.
And I love it. That's life, right?
Yeah.
There's certain principles that permeate the different industries, right? Like people have a need and let's talk about the features and benefits. If you're on the doors, you're doing that with your mouth and your body language and your slicks and your presentations and stuff like that. If you're in e-commerce, you're doing that with influencers and affiliates and the copy that you write and the images that you use. So the principles are very similar between all industries where there's any type of sales, right? And so I'm really grateful for that. Another reason why everybody should just go sell door to door because those principles they just work no matter what you're doing. But there was definitely some things that were difficult. For example, one thing that's so satisfying in door to door, like you've already talked about, is drop me off in a neighborhood and I'll go sell something. In e-commerce, it's a lot of trial and error because hey, this ad looks amazing. It tells the story. It's perfect. You run the ad. hey, we got 50 clicks, 0 conversions. What is happening? And you got to go back to the drawing board. You can do that 100 times before you land on the one that all of a sudden people are clicking and converting. You're like, I don't know why. That's just part of the game.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. You know what I mean? That way. So there are some wake up calls with that stuff where you have a little bit less control than you think you have. You got to spend some money. There's a lot of trial and error.
I mean, because you got to pick up all these new skill sets of online marketing and how to run Instagram ads and like what a click through rate is. And like, it's just a different language.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to be willing to open up your brain and just learn new stuff too.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing that.
Sure.
Because what we're doing now is so far away from all of that stuff that I'm like, life starting at 40. We're just learning new stuff.
Started, right?
So that's what's so fun. If you're not learning something new, it's kind of hard to.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the Zeal transaction. Because I mean, I'm sure that was a huge pivot milestone moment. Like
huge milestone.
Yeah.
So built the company for 3 years. Right in the middle of COVID, everything e-commerce was gold, right?
Ripping.
So there was this big push in the market where you had private equity and venture funds coming together and conglomerating e-com brands, right? And so we had a couple reach out to us in early 2021. And I mean, one of the things that had happened is we launched an elderberry gummy. And during COVID, somebody published something that said elderberry helps strengthen your immune system. So we were selling 2,000 or 3,000 bottles of elderberry gummies every day.
A day.
We couldn't keep up. It was crazy. And so in the middle of this, everybody was hot on, let's go buy a passive online business. So we had a handful of term sheets come through. In retrospect, there's a lot of things I probably would have done differently, but it was so fun and such an awesome experience where we got to negotiate back and forth. And then ultimately we ended up selling 100% of the company in spring of 2021. And it was a really cool experience.
Wow.
Just to negotiate with private equity to kind of, go with their valuation, argue your valuation back and forth, and then make a decision as a team like, hey, do we want to go take a big piece of cash? Do we want to just keep this thing in cash flow? Anyway, again, in retrospect, there's things I would have never, we could talk about that if you want to, but super cool experience and super rewarding. It's one of those events now when I'm revisiting wins. It was a huge win.
Huge win.
We started with this like, hey, let's do a side hustle that pays the mortgage to, hey, somebody's offering us 8 figures for this e-com business that's just you and I in an office. This is cool.
Yeah. Was that hard to let go? Did you have like that personal connection? Like, this is my baby and I don't want to let it go? Or were you like, oh, there's the figures. Cool. We can sign this over.
Both.
Yeah.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome to get handed a big check. I would tell anybody who's in that position right now, like, you have to weigh cash flow. Cash flow is so awesome, dude.
Cash flow is king.
Cash flow is everything. So you get a big check, you go invest it, and there's going to be a moment where you're going to say, where's my cash flow?
Yeah.
So we've gone through that experience as well. So yeah, it's actually, I still feel like it's my baby. When you are full of pride and hubris, you sometimes, or all the time, your vision's a little bit clouded. You forget to do the extra research, right? Yeah. Maybe you mistake all those good feelings you feel from that past transaction as those warm fuzzies. Sure. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, this is the right thing to do. Let's go do it. And that's one of the harder things I think as an entrepreneur is you go down a path. It's really hard to decide, hey, was this a bad idea? I think most of the time, if you stick to something and your heart's in it and you're willing to put in the time and just not give up, it's going to work. But there's an inflection point where you have to say, we made a mistake.
Yeah.
And do we fail fast, fail cheap right now? Or do we keep going?
You know? How did you make that decision? Because obviously, you've coming off a lot of success. Your ego's inflated, like I'm untouchable, right? At what point do you know this? I guess the question is, when do you know is actually a good time to quit versus I should keep going and push through?
That I think is like almost an unanswerable question. It is so hard, like to any entrepreneur, because you get to that point for sure where you're like, this is really, really hard. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I would say most of the time the answer is like, get through it.
Yeah, and stay in the fight.
Yeah, stay in the fight. But sometimes the answer is, this was a bad idea. Like, cut it off. For us, it was one of those really honest moments where we sat in the office And I was feeling it. I was just like, dude, this is not working. We're going to keep pouring more money into it. So we either have to go raise capital, or put more of our own money into it, go pull debt, do something to fund this business, or cut it off. And I remember spinning around in my chair, and Kate and I just worked in a big room with 2 desks on each side. I spin around in my chair and I looked at Kate and I'm like, hey, is your heart in this?
Mm.
And he was like, no. I'm like, mine neither. And that was it.
Done.
Yeah. And so I think that's where you
Let
have
me ask
to
you this.
do it.
How did you feel after you made that decision?
Good.
Sense of relief.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
feel a little bit of regret, like, suck.
Yeah.
We both lost $500,000 each. That was so painful.
Yeah.
But you're also like, it's the right thing to do.
Mhm.
And you can't imagine starting a business with somebody and saying, hey, my heart's not really in this. Is your heart in this, Doug? Let's be business partners. And we both don't really we don't really believe in this, but let's go.
It
don't
reminds
do
me of
that.
this quote that was so good. It's kind of scrolling through Instagram, and I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but it says, it's an entrepreneur quote. It says, in my experience, if you give something 80% effort, you'll get 80% back in return. If you give something 95% effort, you'll get 95% return. When you give something 100% energy, you get 1,000% return. And that seems true for the situation. You guys just weren't 100%. And maybe you're doing the tasks, whatever, that heart piece that's that's the secret sauce. You have to have that emotional next level, full inner commitment for these things to work, or they just won't work.
That's spot on.
Yeah.
It's spot on. And yeah, that's the point as an entrepreneur, where you look at it and you're like, we could force this. Somehow I know we could force this to work. We could go get money. We could go get debt. We could go continue to invest our time and our energy and our money into this. But if neither of us have our heart in this thing and we're not excited about it, then let's cut our losses and move on to something that's energizing. You know what I mean? So we actually had a fortunate circumstance where somebody else came around that was interested in the business and wanted to take it over, and it was good transition.
Right.
So that was a wake up call.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving forward after that wake up call, how did that change your perspective of your viewpoints and how you're going to tackle the next thing?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's still my perspective is still changing. We're learning all the time on what we want to do next, But what that really did for us was hey, take some time and look at your opportunities, evaluate those opportunities and really try and land on something that's energizing. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to, because I preach this all the time to people, you don't need to get a job that is completely fulfilling to you in every single way. I think there's only a couple jobs like that in the world,
Yeah.
professional athlete maybe, and I don't know, a handful of other things. Maybe you're a really good musician and you make a ton of money selling your music. That's so cool. I might be a professional athlete still, I don't know, but probably not.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to let some of that go and say, there's going to be some stuff about whatever I choose to do that's going to suck. And you got to be okay with that. That's just part of making a living, making money, and trying to do something significant. There's just a hard piece to it. There's a grind. So if you have these rosy glasses on because a college professor told you to hey, find a job that's really fulfilling to you.
Follow your passion.
Yeah. And I know people that are 50 years old that are still trying to follow their passion and find a job that makes them really, really happy. And I'm like, hey, don't.
Yeah. It's not working.
Yeah. You got to do some stuff that's hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, that being said, we did some exploration. We landed back in the solar industry and found a niche that we've been really excited about, where we looked at kind of our past experience and said, hey, operationally, solar is really difficult. So what if we built an operational company that wasn't difficult? And we started that 3 years ago, and it's been awesome. And the solar industry obviously has its massive ups and massive downs.
Yeah. The solar coaster.
Totally. Political headwinds and all kinds of stuff. But we found a niche where we built an operations company. We do some installs for a handful of people, and then we service a lot of the existing accounts out there. We're in 10 states, and it's a great niche. It's really, really fun to operate.
Yeah. And I'm sure, some of the back end stuff you learned through Zeal, has been helpful and more of an ops company now.
Yeah.
Versus just ripping doors.
One of the most vital things I think you can learn, and we live in such a beautiful, fortunate day and age, is that you can outsource all of your weaknesses. And it's so great. There are hundreds of thousands of incredibly skilled people all over the planet that want to do the things that you don't want to do. And you have to take advantage of that.
I think to your point, it's never been simpler to be an entrepreneur as far as resources available,
Totally.
right? Because there's like, I look at my own business. I have 0 employees, but I've worked with 4 agencies that like to do this stuff. I've got a social media agency, I have an ops agency, I have a online product agency. They don't work for me, but they just specialize in the one thing that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
awesome.
the accessibility to resources right now is it's never the entry point to entrepreneurship has never been lower.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is incredibly hard. You have to provide value, but like the accessibility to it, it's just never been a better time to be an entrepreneur.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, today, if you say, hey, I want to go build a Shopify e-commerce website, you can go,
You can do it on your phone.
you can do it on your phone. So there's these different levels. You can go like take a course, you can figure it out, you can learn how to do it, you can spend some time and some hours and some energy and you can do it. Or you can get on Fiverr, sorry,
Mhm.
and hire a dude in Bangladesh and he'll have it done tomorrow for $250.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and you can communicate back and forth with him, and pay him. It's just awesome. So I think that's one of the coolest things we've learned just leaving the direct sales space and doing some other things is that you can run a company and you can contract agencies, you can outsource things overseas. You can find little things that you're not good at, but that need to get done. And you don't need to hire a full-time person for $50 an hour, in Utah County to go do what you need to get done. So we've definitely employed that in all the different things we've done now.
Such an amazing time to be alive, truly. And then now I don't even want to get into the AI stuff, but this is going to open up so much opportunity here. And so I'm curious as you evolve, our time's kind of getting close here, but a question I want to ask you is how have your priorities changed as a dad or as a husband or as a human from, moving the family to Hawaii, 3 kids to now like you've got 2 high schoolers?
Yeah.
How have your priorities changed for, the direction of your life as your kids are getting older?
Great question. I think one thing that I've gotten better at over time, and I'm still such a baby in everything and I'm still learning so much, but my priorities were kind of career based, go as big as you can, all those things. There's still a lot of that inside of me. I'm not trying to go small with anything, but you realize really, really quickly how finite your time is with your family, with your kids. Like it's just wild. You see someone with a baby and you're like, oh yeah, I had a baby and she's 18. And that's such an old person thing to say. I remember old people saying that all the time. Man, time flies. I remember you when you were a baby. And I'm like, you're so weird. Don't talk to me.
Old weird person.
Yeah, like that's not a thing. Like my life's been really long.
Yeah.
But it really, really goes fast. So those priorities shift. Like you absolutely prioritize family. I was telling my wife the other day, this might sound funny, but like probably the most important thing in my life right now is family vacations. And when we do our planning sessions together,
Tell us more about that because I don't talk about that. What are your planning sessions with Laura?
with my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do one big annual planning session.
Okay.
And then of course each week we get together and we do plans. It always doesn't work every single week.
And is
but
that
it
the
is
intention of that?
always
Just like syncing your calendars or like getting the right things on the calendar together and both people are on the same page?
that's part of it. So there's like the tangible side, which is hey, we need to know what's happening, who's driving where, logistically, what the schedules look like, all that stuff, right? And then the bigger piece of it is like, hey, what do we actually want to accomplish? And it's that analogy where you got big rocks, little rocks, and sand. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
You got a big jar, and if you put the sand in and the little rocks, the big rocks don't fit. So if you put the big rocks in and then the little rocks and then the sand, everything fits in the jar.
Right.
It's a great visual, and it's just true with stuff in life. If you don't know what you're trying to accomplish and how you want to spend your time, somebody else will dictate that for you. There's always something to do, always something that will keep you busy. So that's what we try and do in our planning is like, what are the big rocks? Like, hey, our 9-year-old, I think she's been a little neglected the last 3 weeks. You should take her to a movie and take her out on a date. Okay, awesome. When are we going to do that? Right? Let's get that on the calendar. That might be a little rock for someone. That's a big rock for me. Like, you got to get that sucker on the calendar, because if you don't, something else will fill that space. Like, everybody out there is demanding of your time and your energy. So if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish and who you want to be and what you want to provide to your kids, and if you don't block that out, you're just never, it's never going to happen, you know? So
Yeah. Do you,
that's the point.
and do you guys do relationship inventory with your kids? Like, what's our current relationship with our 9-year-old? What's our current relationship with our 14-year-old? Like, do they need, is there like an assessment or kind of an overview effect of what that kid's going through?
hmm
Yeah.
It's actually, so our annual plan is big. We go take 2 or 3 days away, and that's when we do the biggest in-depth like relationship inventory. Like, hey, over the next 12 months, what do we want to see happen with our 14-year-old, you know? And that's like a long discussion with no time frame on it. But we go through every little thing. Hey, I think he's struggling with this. I think he's doing great at this. I think this would be awesome for him. We should introduce this, whatever it might be, and figure out ways throughout the year to go accomplish that stuff. So I have an entire method written out that we go through with our annual plan, and that's part of it, is spending time on each individual, including each other, and talking about what needs to meet, what needs should be met, what expectations look like, all of those things.
Seems super intentional.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be. And there's times where it gets out of whack when things are so busy and so hectic that it's not intentional, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel when life is the dog and you're the tail, and it is just wagging you. And you're like, I am not in control right now. Like,
How do you guys recoup in those moments?
cut stuff off, you just have to. So saying no has become like a really big piece of our life, where if something isn't a very obvious yes and lines up with those goals that we have as a family, then it's a very obvious no.
Mm.
Because you just can't do everything. Like, life is finite and you can't do everything. And so you have to be intentional about it. That's the biggest thing. When you feel like life is wagging you around, it's just, hey, what do we need to say no to? Because this is getting,
Losing controllership here.
yeah.
Yeah. Inspiring, man. And you mentioned you just turned 40 a year ago. And I'm curious, what are you hoping this next decade looks like for the Reed family?
Next decade's pretty exciting, actually. It's kind of funny to look at now. Like, my oldest is 18, so got married young at 21, had a kid fast, and I wouldn't change it. It forced me to grow up really, really quickly. And she is the coolest person. She is so fun. She's funny. She's bright. Just love hanging out with her. And so a lot of it right now is I'm like, hey, I might be a grandpa in the next decade.
Crazy to think about.
Like, it could happen, right?
Yeah.
If she follows my path, I'm a grandpa in like 3 or 4 years.
4 years.
And that's pretty crazy. But like, this kind of goes back to your other question. There's just certain things in life you don't want to fight with. It is such a waste of energy to fight with certain things. You lived in LA. How much good does it do you to sit in the 405 at 6 p.m. and fight it?
Absolute waste of time.
Dude,
Yeah.
it takes years off your life. So you got to figure out a way to go with the flow, right? I think you told me about the surrender experiment.
Yeah, Michael Singer.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Michael Singer.
Great book. And thanks for recommending that to me.
Yeah, of course.
That one, that's something I think about all the time. There's just things in life where they bring you so much joy when you surrender to them, and so much heartache when you fight them.
Right.
So if you're 40 years old and you're like, hey, I might be a grandpa in the next decade and I don't want to do that, like, stop fighting.
Yeah.
Like, you're in the traffic, you better get excited about it because it's happening, right? That's probably one of my like bigger life lessons over the last decade when you have teenagers, those type of things. Is there's a book, I don't remember what it's called, somebody will know, but it talks about picking your battles with your toddlers. If a toddler spills a cup of water, you can lose it and be like, what are you doing? Like, that was so irresponsible of you. Go to timeout. Or you can be like, I'm not going to fight that battle. The kid just spilled a cup of water. Hey, whoops, let's clean it up, right? And what's crazy is if you're not intentional about that, you're going to waste so much energy fighting stuff that you don't need to fight. That would probably be one of my bigger life shifts. Talking about all these things I've learned throughout my entrepreneurial experience is like, when something's happening and something's good and your life is going a certain direction, like, surrender to it.
Let it happen.
Let it happen. Like, quit fighting it. Don't fight every teenager that comes to your house that doesn't believe the exact same thing as you, or or whatever it might be. Don't fight everybody that you come in contact with. Don't fight the direction it's going, because guess what? Like, God wants you to be happy, and he's like, life is happening for you, right? Like we talk about. So what are you fighting for? Like, take a deep breath, set your goals, be intentional. But as these things happen, like, pick your battles. There's some things that are worth fighting, but not that many, right? And so, anyway, over the next 10 years, I'm just surrendering to it. Like, I'm so excited for it. My family's going to grow up. Like, I think the businesses that we're working on right now, I'm really excited about. I'm excited about growing those. I'm excited about having more exits, reacquiring stuff. So just, I'm just excited. I'm just surrendered to it and pumped about everything that's happening.
Fires me up, man. And I'm inspired by you, and I look up to you as a friend and also a mentor. And it's been really incredible to see what you do, and not only on the business aspect, but on a relationship with your health and with God and with your family, man. I really look up to you. So I appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Doug.
Thanks, brother.
Awesome to be here.